Good evening. Thank you very much for staying here a little bit late this evening. I wanted to catch everybody before we head out down to Texas tomorrow for the holidays. Wanted to come out and just briefly talk about some of the issues that are going on in the world. I know I haven't done that lately, and I really want to start doing that on a more regular basis than what I have been doing. Opportunity to do that tonight before I send you guys home and get packed, ready for a morning departure, head down to Texas. Um, let's talk about what's going on over in Israel and the Gaza Strip. Um, there is no doubt um, what happened on October the 7th is a tragic and terrible event in world history. Um, the United States, under my administration, the Rogers administration, strongly condemns the actions of Hamas. And, there's been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of talk of ceasefire. And Israel has a right to defend itself. Israel has a right to defend itself. A lot of people call this Israel's 9/11. And if you think about it, in the scope of things, it is the equivalent of their 9/11. So they have a right to defend themselves. Um, I believe there should be a pause in hostilities to get aid to the Palestinians and the people that are stuck in Gaza. Uh, it's important that we get aid to them because they're shut off pretty much from the entire world. And with that happening, things can get pretty dire. So I believe there should be um, a pause of hostilities for a time to get aid in there and then get back out before the resumption of those. You know, the situation over there, this is not nothing new. This is something that's been going on practically since the beginning of time. And really, there is a solution, and I know we've had presidents after presidents try to come up with a solution for that. I believe there's a two-state solution that can take place. I think, I believe that both Israel and the Palestinians can coexist. I believe that can happen. What's happening now is you have a terrorist organization, Hamas, controlling the Gaza Strip, and they need to be eliminated. Hamas is just like ISIS or Al Qaeda; they need to be eliminated. And so, my administration would do whatever it's in its power to assist Israel in this endeavor, because I believe you eliminate Hamas, you make the world a safer place. You make the world a safer place to live. Um, on on our economy, um, the economy, it's been going on. It's been almost 3 years that we've been doing this, and I've said from the very beginning, I had a goal of a 3% unemployment rate, which I believe is uh, still possible of achieving. But we've got to get serious about work. I've come up to this podium and other podiums throughout the country, and I've said time and time again about the number of jobs. I come out here every month and talk about the jobs report, the unemployment report, and how good it is. You think about the jobs we've added in the last 3 years, and you think about the number of jobs that are available. There are 1.6 jobs available for every American. 1.6 jobs available for every American. Why aren't we at work? Why aren't we at work? And that's why I rolled out my enhanced unemployment system, part of my agenda, the enhanced unemployment program, which will make the unemployment rules a little bit more stiffer. They got a little bit lax in COVID, and that's understandable. I mean, we had a pandemic, and we know all what happened there. We had a pandemic and uncertainty, but we're way past that point now, and it's time to get back to work. It's time to get back to work. So the way to do that is to tighten the requirements. Enhanced unemployment under my administration would call for minimum of 5 job interviews per week to be eligible to continue to receive your benefits. And there's no better feeling, and I've said this before too. There's no better feeling in the world than getting that paycheck, or I guess now it would be a more direct deposit into your checking account. It's about your dignity. It's about dignity, and there's no better feeling than to get a paycheck, and not a paycheck from the U.S. government, but a paycheck from your employer. So I think we can still make the 3% unemployment rate. I think that is still achievable. I'm going to do what I can with the power of my administration to ensure that does happen. Enhanced unemployment will be one of the things we will definitely work on this next year to see that's implemented. I really want to see that put in place. I think that'll be a great program for our country. On the budget process, that's a frustrating thing. The first Monday in February, the president releases his budget. It comes out. And here we are, the Thursday night before Thanksgiving, and just signed a resolution that will fund the government again. This is not the budget, the omnibus budget package. This is a CR that continues to fund the government. I'm glad we're at this point, that the government will continue to function. And I wasn't against, as much as I like Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving's it's a family thing. I enjoy my time with my family. I enjoy time with them immensely, but I would not have been opposed if we had not got something passed to stay in Washington, to keep Congress in Washington, and let's keep working. If we're here Thursday morning and we're trying to get a CR passed, or even a budget passed, we're here. There's no more important thing than getting that budget passed. And when it comes into budget, let's think about the other things that are happening on the Hill as well. Let's think about the backlog of military promotions, which I think is utterly ridiculous. You think about that. There's 250 plus servicemen and women whose lives are on pause right now because of one senator's objection. It's holding up lives. You think about what's happening. It's not just a promotion. You think about it's your life. It's servicemen and women moving from location to location, changing schools. You think about it right now, changing schools in the midst of November, basically at the end of the first semester of school. And we've got one senator in the United States Senate that is holding this up for political reasons. It's time for that to stop. It's time for that to stop. We cannot put politics, we cannot put partisan politics in front of our defense. And that's what's happening here. That must stop. That must stop. I know a friend of mine, promotion is held up because of these annex up on Capitol Hill. It's got to come to an end, because we're putting the military families at risk, and we're putting our nation's defense at risk. So let's stop this, and let's stop it now. There's a lot of things that have going on throughout the year, and we'll talk more about it as we get toward the end of the year, and we'll talk more about what the agenda is going on to into 24, which is going to be an important year. It's an election year. A lot of things are at stake. And there's a lot of talk about candidates' agendas and what they want to do if they're elected president. My agenda, quite simply, is to do the work of the American people. That's my agenda. And it's to make this country better than it is right now. Because right now, our country is so divided, it's so polarized. We could be better. And if anything, that would be going into that term, that would be my number one priority is to cease all this bickering and squabbling and put America's agenda first. We know what my agenda is. You guys know what it is who follow me. We know it's education, first and foremost. We know it's enhanced unemployment. And we know it's just the unification of this country. The polarization has got to stop. It's got to stop. And I thought that maybe it was maybe a result of COVID, but I think it's rooted deeper than that. Quite honestly, I think it's rooted deeper than that. And so if we just quit this bickering and this going at one another, the hatred that people have to one another, not everybody, but people just hate each other for no reason at all. Especially in the political realm. You think about it. Just because if I have an opponent, I'm supposed to go out and hate that person. I don't believe in that. He or she we may disagree in our positions, and we may disagree on philosophy, but there shouldn't be a reason that I go after that person in hatred. One of our presidents, Ronald Reagan, said it best. He was a Republican president. Tip O'Neill was a Democratic Speaker of the House. And back in his days in the White House and his days up in Congress, Tip O'Neill stays up in Congress, they would go at it all day long. They were very different people. But when 5 o'clock came, they became good friends. When 5 o'clock comes, it just continues here. We got to stop. And I really think if we do that, we can accomplish a lot of great things. I think about a story from 2001 with President George W. Bush. Shortly after he got into the White House in February of that year, he invited the Kennedy family over to the White House movie theater to see a movie about the Cuban Missile Crisis, which his brother played a significant role in. And shortly after that, President Kennedy wrote a nice thank you note to the Bush family, thanking them for that night at the White House and their courtesy and hospitality. 9 months later, we find the nation in the midst of a terror attack on the very day that the First Lady of the United States is on the Hill lobbying for No Child Left Behind, an education reform package that President Bush had. And a few months after that, there was a bill introduced, the No Child Left Behind bill, and the sponsor of that bill was Senator Ted Kennedy. Now, some people think that if it wasn't for that one night in February of that year, that bill would never have been introduced in Congress. That's bipartisanship. That's what I want as your president. And that's what this country needs. I appreciate your time very much. I thank you for waiting here tonight for me. Now let's all go get packed and get ready for that early flight in the morning to Texas. Thank you all very much, guys. Have a great evening. Thank you.